Good day, everybody. My name is Glenn. I have the pleasure of Dax from Hexagon with a very, very impressive background. And I'll have him start off with Dax. Why don't you take us on your journey as far as your personal career and what led you to the formation of Hexagon?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Glenn, for having me on the podcast.
Quite welcome.
Hexagon IT Solutions, it's a company that we started at about 2007. We saw a huge gap in the market between cost and productivity. I started out trying to find developers for a project that I was working on for a company, and I couldn't find any that was reasonable. So I I tried to find my friends who work in the industry, and then we formed like a agreement that they'll do few work for me. And then I realized at that time I realized there's a huge gap between what needs to be done and the cost. So I thought I'll take advantage of that by keeping the cost that is affordable, still provide solutions that are compliant and what the client wants. So that's how we started the company. We have been running this from there. We have been in the business for 16 plus years right now. And we primarily started out building websites, and then we started doing CRMs and ERP implementation, and then we slowly started building CRM and ERP solutions for customers. We have been working with construction, healthcare, education, and financial industry primarily. Construction, we work with home builders, we work with commercial builders, property management, and real estate groups. We have found really good success. We have a base software that is primarily used to build out what the client wants. Most of our clients use the system as is that fits into their model, and that's how we have grown organically.
Okay. Now, since 2007, you've been moving beyond customer software development to broader digital transformations. What were the key drivers behind the strategic shift, and how did you identify the emerging needs that led to that expansion?
Luckily, we have had clients who ask for certain technology, certain things, and we were lucky enough to have developers and staff that was able to identify some of these needs and wants, and we built some SaaS products on top of it, the requirement, and then we have applied it across our customers. We have also seen a huge requirement. Like for instance, right now there's a huge requirement for AI and AI implementation, understanding AI. So we had the opportunity to hire AI engineers and consultants that can help us to build that vertical. We are very fortunate in the industry to have that luxury of finding engineers in that vertical. That's how most of our growth has been. We didn't go building out things and trying to find customers. The customers wanted us to build out things for them, and that's how primarily we have gone through our growth.
Okay. Now, one of the things that I'd be kind of curious about, you were a driving force with this as far as guiding Hexagon transition into areas of enterprise AI adoption and workflow of automations. How was that achieved?
Um, we are very customer centric. We give preference to customer requirements and needs. We what we ship to them, we make sure that it works. We 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 take more. The one thing that we from the beginning we have identified is that with custom software solution and whatever solution we are providing, if the customer is not satisfied, it doesn't move, the needle does not move any further, it just stops. So we try to make sure we address customer needs and wants, and we help in achieving what the customer wants. We show them the before and after fact to them, like what our solution has achieved, how we have achieved it. Seeing that our customers have been very happy that we're able to deliver what they're asking. So that's how we drove our business, more of goal oriented and achieving those goals for our customers.
Great. Now, many custom software development agencies struggle with project scope creep. How did Hexagon's business process analysis before development approach mitigate the common pain points for your clients with the solutions?
So when we go into our customer, to a new customer, we don't act like we know what they're looking for. We take their requirements. We do a very thorough discovery process. Our discovery process is a little bit longer, just because we don't want this um, scope creep to come in the middle of the process, which changes the what we are trying to achieve. So we usually spend extreme amount of time in making sure every angle and every department that is going to be part of the product use is addressed. And then we build out a very thorough flowchart to confirm with the customer and try to have a couple of meetings with them to make sure they haven't missed anything to communicate to us. And then we implemented a process where if there is anything coming as a scope creep, it'll be addressed as a change order and not part of the scope. So when we brought that up, you were right. In the beginning, we were going through that and struggling through that. But then when we implemented some of the changes that in our processes, and then we also implemented change order, then that significantly minimized the scope creep, because they know if something comes up, we are not going to do that immediately. We are going to push it as a change order. And unless and until it is like a 911 protocol, where if that is not there, the system is not going to work, we don't engage in those change orders. We put that on the time scale a little bit later once the project is completed.
Okay. Now, many organizations have done manual client reporting, and that can be a significant time sink. What AI enabled business solutions or workflow automation strategies does Hexagon implement to streamline reporting and improve the transparency for clients?
So we use project management tools. We give access to the client of our project management tool. Our weekly standing meetings are basically bringing up our project management tool and going through it. We have consistently moved, like we used to use Asana, and then from Asana, we moved to Jira. From Jira, now we are using ClickUp. The client has full access. ClickUp has an AI version built into it. So we have created a workflow manager that creates automated daily reporting. And also, it tells them where we stand with the development. And in our weekly meetings, we bring up our ClickUp and go through each of those tasks with them. That significantly has reduced any unknowns between us, and it has helped us to reduce the amount of friction, and also it has helped us to there are usually when you go into client, not everybody in the client space is going to agree to what you're developing or what you're making changes to, but having a project management tool actually addresses all this, because they have to look at the project management tool. Also, it sends out an automated emails to them stating that these things have been done or these things are in progress, so they don't come to us as of this is something new that has been introduced to them.
Okay. Now, everyone's faced with the integration of new technologies and realize it happens to be crucial. How does Hexagon approach API integrations in cloud based enterprise applications to ensure the seamless connectivity within our existing tech stacks?
Our primary rule with all our project managers is that they need to address the security as a primary concern, because there are a lot of APIs that you can bring in and integrate into a system. But if it is not fortified securely, then you're exposing the client and the application for vulnerability. So we address it from the security standpoint. We analyze it, but through those goggles to see where the pitfalls are, where the gaps are, and then we build out a seamless workflow showing where these integrations will affect or not affect, but also um, out of the 10 projects we do, there's always one or two projects where you get stuck in the delivery when you're working through the APIs. So we usually analyze quite a bit and work with the customer to make sure that there's not a gap in the integrations.
Okay. Now, what practical examples do you have where Hexagon is embedding AI into industrial workflows to drive operational intelligence for your clients?
One of the example I can provide is integrating AI. Like we work with attorneys a little bit, where we have reduced the number of hours they spend in doing casework. Most of the analysis and cross analysis within their library is done by the AI, and then it gives them a summary of what each of those are. If they want to know more, then it'll go and do research and bring that to their attention, and then create like a rough scope document for them, that they can take it and present it to their customer, and then they can work through that. It'll create rough drafts, and the attorney can then work through it. What the company that we had implemented, they have increased their productivity by utilizing the attorneys in actually having client conversation instead of just looking at their documents. Their assistants are more helping with whatever the AI drafts. The assistants are able to, or the junior attorneys are able to make it look better before it goes to the client itself. So that has reduced the number of work hours. And we've also helped in um, creating AI correspondence between the client and them. So the when something when an email comes through, if it is an existing case, the system can actually pull up the data and send it to the customer as an answer, but also it'll state that, and the attorney will be in contact with them. So that has helped quite a bit significantly to help um, uh, their clients to know immediately where the case stands, and also the attorney is not in a bind that he has to spend several hours responding to all these emails.
Okay. Now, given your experience, I'm assuming you have systems administration and migration background.
Mhm.
What
Yes.
advice would you have for agencies looking to modernize their enterprise applications and move away from the outdated, disconnected systems?
One thing that I would say before like jumping into right in the middle of like I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. If they can go through and understand the process that is there currently, take that process and say like have a group meeting within their company of understanding what changes they need to make and why they need to make those changes, because that's where a lot of our time is spent is like when we go to the discovery, people just give us like this laundry list of things to do. When we start asking, why do you want to do this, why do you want to do that, they that's when it's almost like, oh, this is something that I need to look at. We don't know that we didn't look at this in this angle. And also there's a lot of repetitiveness in the old systems, and then they can address those repetitiveness, like how do you reduce that. Okay, if you're without the AI workflow, how it will work. If you're introducing AI, what would that do to address the current system, and how will that affect them in the output? So those are the things that they need to look at, like what is the input, what is the output, what do they want to achieve at the end of the day.
Okay. Now, how do you help clients evaluate the return on investment with implementing AI and the automated solutions when they're considering the initial investment as perhaps a high ticket solution?
Um, with AI, uh, one thing is you can't go in and replace people immediately. There is a reason why those people are there, because they have experience. That knowledge, an AI solution is not going to have that knowledge out of the box. If you bring in an AI solution, or if somebody says this is industry specific AI, it's just not going to do what their company requires. There are people who have been working in those positions, who understand where the problems are, they know how to fix it. Utilize that first. It has to AI has to like work like a co-work at the beginning, and then see if the manual processes can be replaced with automated AI processes, and what is this person going to do if if he or she is not going to do this manual things. So we do evaluation. It's more like an exploratory evaluation. Once the evaluation is done, then we will be able to say like, these are all the places where you can reduce the work impact. So not w- workload, and these are all the impacts it will have. And how is that going to translate into actual dollars is what we that's the approach we usually take now.
Well, this leads to perhaps a couple of questions. First of all, you can't have AI without human intelligence
Mhm.
because basically, as I see AI, it's not there to replace people, however, to make them more productive. Now, there are
Yes.
AI solutions that are there to help streamline your productivity of manual processes that will then enable your developers to focus on development. Give us your perspective on that.
We when we consult, we really don't work in the way of saying that AI is going to replace the people that are working. We usually say that, hey, we will evaluate and see how we can make this more productive by helping the person who's doing this. Um, and that's the approach we usually take. And then based on the evaluation, then we can say, hey, look at the we can develop these workflow objectives to produce this output. But the first thing is, how is this person going to be utilized in this process is what we bring it to the table.
Okay. Now, what were some of the obstacles that Hexagon has faced, and what did you do to overcome those obstacles?
Um, Initially, when we were trying to work, like get more work, one of the things that we did was we constantly took anything and everything that came in through our door. Later, very quickly, I would say, we understood that that's not possible, because we couldn't staff every possible solution engineer. And then also, uh, we weren't able to have more project managers who have expertise in what is coming through our door. So we had to identify what we primarily wanted to do. Instead of doing everything, then we started identifying what we should do and how we should do, and we slowly moved into um, our skill set revolves around CRM and ERP solutions, automations, API, and app developments. So we stick to that, and we don't jump through a lot of industries. We work in the four industries that our engineers are good at: construction, healthcare, financial, and education. Those are the four that we stick with. We don't want to move into a broad variety of industries at this moment.
Okay. Now, you acquired SCAD IT. What was the strategic rationale behind this merger?
Scout ID was one of our sister companies that was in UAE and India. Our developers, few of our or a lot of our developers come from this area. We have had a lot of confusion in terms of them interacting with our engineers in Hexagon. So we decided that we'll just merge these companies to one. So platform as a company and not two different sections of the company.
Okay. Now, looking ahead, what emerging technologies or market trends do you believe will have the most significant impact on software development agencies in the next 3 to 5 years?
AI is a huge influence right now. I feel that the whole agentic AI is going to have a significant influence in the developers and engineers, because right now it's taking a lot of the work. You can make your agentic AI to do a lot of things, but there are places where you can see like security, as well as the logistics of how it is doing it is different from what the usual coding practices are. I think as it is learning, it's going to adapt, and it will be more advanced in 3 to 5 years, where I'm not sure if the engineers will actually be doing a lot of coding. It might be more of agents coding, and the engineers are overseeing those agents.
Okay.
Um, that's how I'm looking it as at this moment.
Okay. And to take this a step further, how is Hexagon preparing for these emerging technologies?
One thing we have done is training our engineers to treat AI as a co-work and not as a threat. We are training them to make sure that they're using it, they're understanding it, understanding the limitations of what it can do, what it cannot do, and what our engineers can do to practical use it in their environment, how successful it will be. We are just testing it out on our own in-house tools and stuff to see how the development goes before we can start utilizing it for our clients.
Okay. Now, give us a perspective of your leadership philosophy regarding long term client partnerships, and how do you ensure that technology investments translate into practical, measurable outcomes for your clients?
Um, Treating a client as someone who you work with instead of working for helps a lot, because when you treat them as if you treat yourself as if you're working with them, it helps them to communicate with you better. But if you treat them as a customer and talk to them like a customer, then they are not very open with you. That's something that our company has implemented in the within the clients that we work with. The customers feel that we are part of their team and not us coming in and as a separate unit. And we have shown them what technology could do to their company in terms of productivity, how it affects their decision making, how their workflow has improved, and also being like taking more work doesn't mean they have to do it all by themselves. They can rely on us or rely on the existing technology that they have to make them more successful.
That's an excellent perspective. Now, I take it you're not you're doing development that's geared towards the unique situations of each of your clients, as opposed to having any particular commercial off the shelf that you can provide them with.
That's correct. Yeah, we primarily do custom development, and there have been situations where they come back to us and say, "Hey, we found this product. What do you think of the product? Can you evaluate it and let us know if this would fit into what we are already doing?" So we usually have evaluated and given them our perspective, and it has helped us quite a bit because we are not just saying we are going to custom build everything that a client has, but we have brought in other solutions for them that has been helpful.
I'm assuming, though, despite the fact that there's unique customization that needs to be done with your customer base, that you have some excellent tools that are uh, reusable for
Yeah.
various clients.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we have built that as our own products, and we implement that across the platform with other clients.
Okay. Now, with your 20 years experience plus, what's the one piece of advice you give to people in head of operations or VP of engineering at a growing customer software development agency regarding navigating through digital transformations?
Um, you have to make sure you learn constantly, because you cannot look at everything with one eye saying, "This is the solution I'm going to provide." Um, at one point, the customer is not going to be happy with the solution you're providing if you are not making yourself aware of all the available uh, technologies or applications for an industry. If you look for instance, in the construction industry, there's every day there is someone who comes out with something that helps in the construction industry. um, we at least have to have a knowledge of it because when a customer is looking for a solution, and if that whatever we know of a different solution that can provide a faster ROI for them, I would rather use that than building from the scratch. And that also helps the customer to realize that I'm not building every single thing for them, but bringing other players to the table, and then educate the client and then make the client to understand what they want and what they do not want.
Okay. And how do you get your leads in working with customers?
Since we have been in in the industry for a longer time, we get a lot of referrals, but we also use LinkedIn, Meta quite a bit, and then we have companies that do cold call for us.
Phone calls? Okay.
Yeah, LinkedIn has been very successful, and Meta has been very successful for us.
Okay. Now, I'm going to, we're coming towards the end of this. I want to give you the opportunity to reach out to our viewers and say what makes you a cut above than your competitors and why they should do business with you.
Yeah, definitely. Um, with the number of years we have been in the industry, we are our engineers and ourselves, myself, we have a labyrinth of knowledge and practice of how to implement brand new software to um, migration and building new applications around your existing software. So our knowledge has been very useful in terms of how we translate that into ROI for you. And then we bring in just not our applications, we bring in new technologies and AI implementation into the workflow that helps to reduce the amount of hours somebody spends on a project or a product and help them to maximize their output. We help in that. We pride ourselves in doing that on a daily basis for our customers. We are a very customer-centric company. We work with you as part of your team more than us being an external team.
Okay. Dax, this has been a great podcast session. I hope you feel the same way with
Yeah,
the questions that were asked. I think you gave some great insight to our viewers that they can benefit from. And I appreciate your time taken out of your busy schedule so we can have this podcast to reach our viewers to be able to see someone such as yourself that has great industry insight to being successful in this line of work. Thank you very much for your time.
thank you very much, Glenn. You have a great day.
You do the same.